So we had letters from 1959 through 1962 that were written from Poland to my great-grandmother.
Wow.
Because every Christmas and Easter, she would collect boxes of clothing and blankets and everything else and ship to Poland.
So awesome. Lonnie.
Yeah.
Welcome to the center of Polish Sunday entertainment. Działka. The communal gardens of Tarnowskie Góry.
Look at this dog. Hello.
Dzień dobry. Zwiedzanie polskich miast jest fascynujące i fantastyczne, ale dzisiaj jest niedziela i trzeba sobie zrobić przerwę i jednocześnie zakosztować więcej polskich klimatów, czyli działka. Nie ukrywam, że na to czekałem. To jest dzisiejszy główny punkt programu. Oj, będzie jedzonko. Where are we going today, Blani?
Kraków.
Why are we going to Kraków?
We're gonna meet Carl and Lynn.
Are you excited?
I am excited.
Mam wrażenie, że z kręceniem filmów o Krakowie to jest trochę jak z próbowaniem śpiewania piosenek Michaela Jacksona. Oryginału nie przebijesz, więc nie ostrz sobie zębów na zwycięstwo. Zrób najlepiej jak potrafisz i zobaczymy, co z tego wyjdzie.
Here we are.
It's time to explain why we are in Kraków today, and I think Blani knows the story a little bit better than me, so I'm gonna let her take it from here.
We have a friend who asked us for advice and talked to us through the channel about Poland, and he has Polish heritage, so he's doing a tour around Poland. Since our whole channel is bringing America and Poland together, we asked him if he would meet us and talk to us about his experience here.
Well, how did he become our friend?
From watching our channel?
We
He's a vlog watcher?
haven't really met these people in
No.
real life yet, have we?
No.
So right now we're about to meet them for the very first time at exactly 6 p.m., which is 4 minutes from now.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure, how are you?
I'm good.
David?
And this is
Are you happy to have Eric?
Mr. Rockstar.
Pleasure.
We spent one night in Warsaw just to recover from the flight. Then we spent 2 days in Mława, where we met relatives that frankly we didn't know existed 3 weeks ago. So right before we left, we found out who they were and how to contact them.
That's awesome. What was the reaction?
Very positive, actually. Now, 2.5 years ago, a friend of mine made contact with them, but we lost contact because, well, they weren't replying to emails, and then I broke an ankle that put me out for about a year.
Ooh.
So it was a reinvigoration type thing. So we spent 2 days with them, and then we went to Gdansk for 3 days.
So wait, did you completely surprise them? Did they know you were coming?
We actually hired a gentleman, Thomas, to do genealogy research for us. So my great-grandmother came to the United States in 1905. So the entire family's been trying to track these folks down for, well, 3 generations. And with the political climate in Poland, where you just didn't have access to people and English wasn't spoken well, but we hired somebody to do some research, and a friend of mine that I work with in Poland were able to find them. So that's how we made contact.
So for how long they knew you were coming? Before
They had
you showed
about
up?
4 days.
4 days.
4 days.
That was pretty instant for them.
Exactly, and it was for us also.
So they reacted in what way? Because this is my most, like, this is the core of the story for me. You know, you find out you have a relative in America and they're coming tomorrow.
Exactly. Well, and we didn't mean to just barge in on them.
Right.
You know, if we would have knocked on the door, they would have said, well, fine, nice to meet you, but
Yes.
see ya,
Okay.
you know. I would have understood completely. And at that point, it was going to be a nice European vacation. Okay? I would have been a bit of a disappointment, but you've got to remember, I'm just knocking on a stranger's door.
Right.
And so we had letters from 1959 through 1962 that were written from Poland to my great-grandmother.
Wow.
Because every Christmas and Easter, she would collect boxes of clothing and blankets and everything else and ship to Poland. So she's sending anywhere from 10 to 20 boxes every holiday back. So she was getting letters. Within those letters were a few pictures and things like that. So we used those letters to help us with the genealogy research. So we've made a very nice connection. We're already exchanging emails. It was funny because Katarzyna and my wife were sitting in the back seat of the van. They came and picked us up at our hotel. Okay? Not even knowing if we were related yet. They came and got us.
Wow.
But Katarzyna and my wife are in the back of the van talking back and forth using Google Translate. We all know that Google Translate is not perfect.
No, it's far from perfect.
But if you want to communicate, it will let you do it.
That is crazy.
So they had a wonderful time. But Katarzyna's daughter, Carolina, actually speaks English.
Okay.
She's 17 years old, and she was a trooper. She just translated back and forth for 2 days.
Awesome.
What drove you to come to Poland to learn more about your heritage would be a more interesting question.
I actually put 3 reasons why Lynn and I were doing this. I knew my great-grandmother, okay? And I knew her until I was probably about 12, 13 years old. So I knew she was always collecting the boxes to send back to Poland. So I'm growing up hearing all of these stories, okay? And she's still writing letters in 1960 back to people in Poland, okay? And conversing with them. Now, unfortunately in my family, the first generation here could speak Polish. They actually went to a Polish school in Erie, Pennsylvania. But after that, Polish became the secret language of that generation. So they could talk about everybody else without them knowing. Okay? And my grandmother didn't teach me Polish. Okay? But yet I still had this familial connection. So in a sense, the trip was, number one, to honor my great-grandmother and her commitment to family. But more importantly also, we have a grandson. I want my grandson to know that this is where his roots come from. Okay? And then after that, frankly, just to have a wonderful vacation with my wife. You know, if we would have arrived in Poland and the relatives would have said, we don't want to speak to you, we don't want to be bothered. We would have said, we understand, you know, we're not here to impose, we're not here to cause problems. We don't want anything from you other than to shake your hand and move
Learn
on.
about you.
Exactly. Exactly.
So did you learn about them?
Oh yeah,
We did.
and we will continue to. Say it's a big chance because we don't know them, they really don't know us. You know, you're risking things. But I think that the guy who was doing the research had all of our letters. So like I said, we had conversations going back and forth between Poland. So she recognized some of the names. And then they actually came to one person that we had a letter about that said he had died at work the day before Christmas. So we actually went and saw the tombstone, and there's like, yep, we're related to him, you know. And because of the Polish English, we're not exactly certain at what level of the family tree it comes in, but we're certain it plugs in. So we were with them for 2 days. They drove probably 15 kilometers each day to pick us up and take us to their home, and then drove us back to our hotel at night. They were upset that we weren't staying with them. But again, I didn't want to impose. You know, we don't know for certain, and really weren't certain until after the first day and seeing that, wait a minute, that headstone matches up. And then we pulled out a picture of a funeral, and she's recognizing people in the picture.
Wow.
Okay, and that's the thing that's like, yep, we're related now.
Yeah, this is my grandmother. This is my mother. In the picture
And
that
had
we
she
had.
ever seen the photo?
Yes,
had.
she had
She had
seen not the same view,
Yeah.
but pictures from the same funeral. So it was remarkable that such a sad event of a death brought the family close again 3 generations later. So
What an incredible story this has been for you.
it's, and the funny thing is, at least 2 other people in the family I know of have tried to come back to Poland and make the connections. But now with Poland becoming far more open, okay, more people speaking English, okay, and frankly, the gentleman we hired to do the genealogy research, I mean, the fact that he could read Polish and I think Russian and German both, I mean, you know, Poland, it depends upon what year it is, whether or not you were Polish, German, or Russian.
So now, are you ready for the next chapter of the story? Because you know Polish people are big on returning favors, right?
That's fine. They're-
So
well,
mid-October, when it becomes cold here, you'll open your door one day and there they are.
And they will be welcome.
our door is welcome, open and welcome for them anytime. Absolutely.
There's nothing that I wouldn't do. It's not the way I planned. Show me how you want it to be. Tell me, baby, 'cause I need to know now. Just because my loneliness is killing me. And I must confess, I still believe. If I'm not with you, I lose my mind. Give me a sign. Help me, baby, one more time.
Drona nie wziąłeś?
Oczywiście, że wziąłem.
Tak?
Jasne.
No to obleć no tu naokoło.